Hey there, race fans. Welcome to the Last Lap Live. I'm Brian Smith, and my co-host got a little uglier this week. It's Rich Farmer instead of Shelly, this guy. She had some things that she was going to do with her kids tonight, and so we got somebody else sitting in. So how are you doing, Rich?
I'm doing good.
That's good. We excited about this show tonight. We got some big hitters in here finally for your Legends race.
Yeah, I think it's having Kenny Jacobs and Ed Hodenshield on the show this week. That's it's good for the program and great to help promote the Legends race.
Hopefully they got some good stories that we didn't use them all up there in the hallway.
I think that was the tip of the iceberg.
Well, let's hope so. Let's talk a little bit about the race this Saturday first. Windy night, cold night.
Cold, windy. Not the ideal conditions for what we try to do, of course. So hopefully that'll get better.
Sun was shining though, and we did get it in. So.
The sun was shining and we got it in, and I can't remember the last time we got our first 3 events in. I don't know that we've had in the last 5-6 years. So, when we get our night sponsors and stuff, it's much better to get them in than it is to cancel.
Right. It was a fast night too. At one point, I thought we were going to get out of there by 9 o'clock. I had all the heat races done, and I think our 410 feature was done really early.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the, we had some issues with the truck race. It kind of took a little longer than it really should have, and every now and then you have a night like that, and not always with the truck class. It can it goes in cycles. So
right.
We was done by 10:15, so that's still a pretty good night at the racetrack.
Yeah, it's still early. One of the truck races was it Roger Inks? Did he get in the front stretch wall, and did he end up going to
Yeah, Roger got in the front stretch wall and kind of rattled his cage and hurt his shoulder a little bit, and they transported him, and then later in the night his son unfortunately got upside down, so the Inks boys, they had a rough night at the racetrack.
They had a rough night. The 410 winner was Caleb Griffith. Started on the pole and rode her on the top from what I understand, but I think he had a good race with Craig Mintz there for a while. And
there at the last 2 laps we had 3 lead changes with 3 different cars, so and you had Mintz was up there with him, and Byron Reed come, I don't know where he started, I think 5th, 6th, somewhere like that, and he come up there and he challenged him pretty hard too, and Caleb just got up on the wheel and got the job done.
And then the 305 race, Jordan Ryan riding right around them tires in the infield, had a good race with John Ivey and Nate Dussel, and I think who was the other one that was up there? Dustin Dinan was up there for a little bit too. They had a pretty good race.
Yeah, when they was in the lap traffic, that was fun to watch. The 3 of them guys were, at one point you could easily cover them up, and the traffic, when they get racing into lap traffic like that, it's just I think that's when it's the best.
Right, and there were some interesting areas of the racetrack that were upsetting the cars that made it even more exciting in that lap traffic. Some guys were riding through the bumps, and then you had to dodge them, and it just made for entertaining race for the lead. And then somebody finally beat Sean Bellini, dominated the first 2 nights.
Yeah, he is. Jeff Babcock and Sean. Sean's a good racer, and Jeff's been around stock car type race cars for 30 years, and they know how to make something roll the corner, and that thing really rolls the corner. And when you watch it, and then Dan Rupke Jr. come out, and his really rolls the corner nice as well. So some of these guys just got a little bit of work to do and get rolling the corner a little bit better, and they'll be just fine. But
Danny came out in the first night out and set a track record, won a heat race, and won the feature. That's pretty impressive for the first night out.
Yeah, they did a good job. And there's some people making a little fuss over the track record deal, but you got to keep in mind the track record was old, and the trucks don't qualify very often at all. I think this year is the first time they've actually qualified since we quit running the fair races
Right.
several years ago. So. And these things roll a lot better, and when Sean got the track record there for the first 2 weeks, track was so, and this week the track had a lot more grip in it, so it'll all cycle itself out, and things will be good.
A little disappointed in the car count, but they did have a couple racetracks open on Saturday nights here, and kind of got to feel that out and see how that's going to work with Wayne County and Atomic, and Butler's opening soon. It kind of crosses cars sometimes.
When you look at like I go back and look and see who was racing where, and at the end of the day, the only thing I seen is Rob Cheney and the 9X was down at Wayne County, which is a little unusual. Normally them guys are Fremont guys with Stan's car, but other than that, I mean, the Chillicothe guys are going to be the Chillicothe guys. The Wayne County guys are going to be the Wayne County guys, and the Fremont guys are going to be the Fremont guys. And nothing against any other facility, but at the end of the day, because of our purse structure and our points fund and the Fast Series and everything that's going on up in this area, we have 20 to 25 of premier race cars. I mean, these guys are, anybody can win, and it's a whole different animal than it is down south. And it's great that they got cars, and it's great that we got cars, and at the end of the day, we're all going to be just fine.
Right, it's good. Brandon Wimmer came out in the Hammer car this week. It's a new car. I thought there was another.
Todd Heller was a new car
Todd
this
Heller
week.
came out this week too. Yeah, so it was good to see him back out. I hadn't heard from him since the end of last year.
Yeah.
He'd gotten banged up a couple times, but
Yeah, and I think with the weather, when it's cold like that, some guys, they're not points chasers and that kind of stuff. They just want to race, and they'll let it get a little warmer before they'll race. And like I say, I feel strongly it's all going to be just fine.
So next week we got a big race coming up. Last year they had 40-some cars, I think, the Mike Hensel Memorial 5,000 win Boss race. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be able to run that this year, I think. But tell us a little bit about that deal there.
Yeah, that's the Hensel family and Smith Family Foods have sponsored to change this race to a 5,000 to win show, and for Aaron Fry's, it's the Buckeye Machine Boss Series. It's their first time with the series of Buckeye Machine, and this is the highest paying event that the Boss Series has ever had, and we're just really glad to be able to host that. We got Hard Charger's going to pay $333.33. We have Tammy has stepped up to do that, so it's $5,000 to win, $300 to start, $100 for non-transfer, and if we do get 40 cars, we're going to start 24 instead of 20 to kind of reward those people for coming out and supporting us. And I talked to Aaron Fry today, which is the promoter of the Boss Series, and he strongly feels we'll have over 40 cars.
And some big names too. Robert Ballou won it last year. Levi Jones was there. I think he ran second last year. So for non-wing fans, this is going to be a big deal. There's be some good racers there.
Yeah, this will definitely be one of the premier non-wing events in our area for sure.
And it's their opener too.
Yes.
All right. Well, we've got, like I said, we got Randy Mapus from the Fremont Speedway Hall of Fame coming in tonight. He's going to be our first guest, and then after we're done with Randy, Kenny Jacobs will be here along with Ed Hudson. We're going to set him on the couch side by side and talk about the Legends race, how they think that's going to go, and a bunch of other things too. So we're going to go ahead and take our first break. I believe we're going to have the 410 highlights from Saturday night, and come on back.
We're going to bring them down to Monty Collins and Scott Barman. They drop the hammer. Green out! And Caleb Griffith leads the charge down the backstretch. Look at Craig Mintz, the outside of Brandon Wimmer for the second spot. Here comes Mintz racing to the inside of Caleb Griffith. Side by side out of turn 4. Lap traffic ahead. Craig Mintz, your new leader. Griffith tries to fight back. Here comes Caleb Griffith with a big run to the outside. Griffith again to the outside of Craig Mintz. 10 to go. Griffith to the outside of Mintz. He's pulled that top wing back. Griffith again to the outside of Mintz. Here we go. New leader out of turn 4, Caleb Griffith.
Napa know-how.
Oh, yeah.
Napa Legend batteries are built to last and loaded with power.
Nice.
Come on, Pete, hook me up.
What?
Hook me up!
That was a one-time thing. You said we weren't.
Hook me up, man, come on! Come on!
Last time.
Come on. Whoa! Okay! Get it up! Insist on Napa Legend batteries.
Welcome back to the Last Lap Live. I'm still Brian Smith. That's Rich Farmer on the end here, and we have our first guest. It's Randy Mapus from the Fremont Speedway Hall of Fame. Welcome to the show, Randy. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me here.
We generally have Shelly in here, and she'll take a bunch of notes and learn a bunch of stuff about people, and then I just kind of bounce off of that. Well, Now, Rich over there has her notes, so Rich is going to kind of lead your portion of the interview here, and then I'll just kind of join in when I can. But so he knows everything about you, so just be prepared for what he's going to ask you.
Well, the notes, she takes good care of me, so I had this waiting for me when I got home from work today, so
Excellent.
that makes it handy. I mean, one of the first things we want to discuss is the Hall of Fame memberships. They're going on sale this weekend, and thought we could get the opportunity to share with our guest, what entails and what you get with that this season, and that kind of thing.
Well, this is a great opportunity to support the Hall of Fame. The growth that the Hall of Fame has had is just phenomenal, and this sponsor or this membership fee that we collect from this really does help pay the light bills and all the fundraisers that help support that. But it really is the core to maintain the Hall of Fame, and they do go on sale this Saturday. It's a $20 donation. There's a lot of people who walk up and might throw a 50 or 100 down and say, "Oh, we don't need any change," and that's really appreciated. But it's affordable for everybody. It's a $20 membership. You'll get a voting ballot for this next coming Hall of Fame. You'll get the opportunity to nominate someone who you think might deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. That goes up for consideration. There's also a Fremont Speedway Historic Club's sticker for your car or wherever you'd like to put it, a Hall of Fame T-shirt, and again those voting rights. So it's a nice little package we have together this year.
So now explain to me how the voting and the nomination deal works. Do you take everybody sends in their nominations, and then you take the top nominations to come up with the people that you're considering for the Hall of Fame, and who is the one that decides those nominees each year?
Well, there's 3 directors to the Hall of Fame Historic Club, myself, Rich, and Brian Lisguy. And we actually have several years mapped out already of people that are on the prospective list to go in. But you can't think of everything, and this is just one way of being able to collect more data from the public. And this year they spoke very, very clearly on one person going in. It was kind of the largest count we've ever had. I won't throw out numbers, but Soup Sable is going to be on the ballot for this next coming year, and it was very evident that people who bought memberships really wanted to see Soup go in the Hall of Fame.
You obviously didn't talk to the guys in the pit tower there, because I don't think they would have agreed if you've ever stood back there with those guys.
Well, that's
while
kind
they're
of
razzing each other.
Tommy Lacer and Darrell, and then that would they may have had a different opinion.
It's kind of a throwdown area up there. I'm very cautious when I go up to sell 50-50 tickets up there. You just never know.
We
There's
park
some
right
tough
across.
guys.
We park right across the way there, and I always go up there to watch a lot of the races, just for the entertainment for them guys too.
That's a tough crowd. If they were still racing, you would be in trouble. I know Oxter could put it on you still.
Yeah,
No doubt.
I would agree.
No doubt.
One of the nice things about the ballot, and the people making the nominee things is as over time, as everybody's encouraged to, it gives them a means to share their thought, and they could also, anytime contact any of us about, other things, whether they feel something needs to be done differently or whatever. We're 3 people with a very simple process that's worked, I feel fairly well so far, but there's, it's at the same time, we're humans, people make mistakes, and there's room to improve.
So what's the best way to get a hold of you guys for that kind of thing then? Is it through the Hall of Fame website? Or
You could go through the website. My phone number's on there. Our web address is on there. Rich's, of course, his web address is all over a lot of different locations.
Yeah, Fremont Speedway, HOF.com is the new Hall of Fame's website. That's only a month old maybe.
You got that up and running now, Stephen? Yeah. And we've asked about that a couple times. So
We've been getting some comments about it, and we were very fortunate that the vintage cars that we've run for years, I've kind of kept a small lid on it. We're the North Coast Vintage Oval Racers, and it was always kind of a dream of mine to be able to attach it to a Hall of Fame or museum, and kind of pattern ourselves. I'll say it out loud that the Eastern Museum of Motor Racing that Lynn Paxton is the president of over in Pennsylvania. We're a much smaller scale, of course, than what they are, but they have their Williams Grove Old Timers and then the Eastern Museum of Motor Racing, and that's I'm real proud of that accomplishment after running these cars 16 years to be able to join something like that. It adds credibility to us. It's opened up 2 different tracks to us this year. We're going to be going to Eldora and Wayne County, and
You guys are gaining cars too, aren't you? Have you gained a couple cars here recently?
We're possibly going to have between 20 and 23 cars.
They're one of the strongest classes in the pits right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's excellent.
And we don't cost any money, so we add to the program.
Us promoters like that.
Yes,
that's always good.
That's a good thing.
One of the other things, since Hall of Fame weekend's coming up pretty close, we should take if you got to share with the guest, who's being inducted into this year, and we could share with them also who's going to be on the ballot, for the memberships that they would like to purchase, who's going to be on that ballot that they can sign up to vote for.
I've come prepared to share that with everybody, and we'll start out here with the racers that are going to be going in here. We have Eric Rankin, sprint car champion, won quite a few features, always had good equipment, maintained everything himself, coming over from Indiana. And then we have Clay Kine, and Clay grew up at that racetrack, and really proud to see him go into the Hall of Fame. The Van Ness brothers, the family. Back in the day, if you had the Van Ness family as your pit crew, you had the very best, and that goes back quite a few years. But the old timers know them well, and we're real happy to see them going in. Todd Vance, there's such a humble guy. What a big guy! I mean, to get into a sprint car, it's hard to imagine. But went out, became very competitive, won some championships, and a lot of races, and then decided I'm done and walked away from it. And
88, right? 1988.
yeah,
The year he won the championship?
1988 was Rookie of the Year with the All-Stars, and won a few All-Star races. So with their limited budget, one motor, and kind of reminds me of you. They went out and took on some giants. They did very well. Another guy who's grew up at the racetrack, raced stock cars, sports stocks, and dirt trucks. This speedway means a lot, and that's L.J. Connors. He's tickled to death to be going in there. We also have kind of teammate car owners that I've never heard. We talk about the Frankie Kerr and Stan Schoft and all that, how well they got along. Well, the Leeser Wright team, Bob Leeser and Joe Wright, and they fielded cars for Al Franks, Ralph Corderson, Fred Linder, and they done very, very well. They're also going into the Hall of Fame. And Bob Leeser is deceased, but Joe just has so many glowing things to say about Bob Leeser, and after all these years, I mean, it's just it's not fluff. He really means it. So that's probably going to be a pretty emotional introduction. And then we have a champion engine builder, and who was a racer. Actually won some championships on pavement, but that's Gary Griffith. And Gary's father went in the Hall of Fame 2 years ago, and so this is a second generation driver to be going in, and we've got a few of those going on. And last but not least, this guy amazes me. The emotional roller coaster when you talk to him is just amazing. But it's Harold Kemenall, Flaky Jake, and he is the experiences that he's had on the road and with these drivers and other people. I'm just memorized when he starts talking and telling the story about it. But those people are going to be inducted on June 7th. I believe we're going to open up the gates at 1:30?
Yeah, normally open up about 1:30. We got a lot of lists and stuff. The inductees, they get to put together a list of special guests and that kind of thing. And
takes a while to get them all in.
It takes a little bit. Get everybody in, get them seated, and get everything set up. It's quite the day, and this year it's going to be even longer. So
It is.
They had a great crowd there last year too. That's the first one that I got to go to last year. They had a very big crowd.
Yes, and the reality of it is that's how this all created, is because in 2008 we had a terrible crowd. Mm-hmm. Perfect weather, perfect car count, perfect everything except for a crowd. And kind of how this whole deal got dreamed up is because of the lack of a crowd. We wanted something to put in this weekend to attract people, away from not necessarily away from graduations and those types of things, but something that would maybe make it more memorable to where they would maybe consider having graduation on Sunday or on Friday or any day but on race day at Fremont. And that's kind of where we got to this. And we also have the Bauman Auto Groups going in. It'll be our first business going
That's
into
right.
the Hall of Fame this year.
Oh, that's neat.
And they've been with the racetrack or sponsoring race cars since the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
So, for their long-term contribution to race teams and Fremont Speedway, they're going into the induction this year as well.
Well, between the two of you are on the board there. Talk a little bit about what it takes to get into the Hall of Fame as far as a driver or an owner. I mean, what things do you take into consideration to put them in?
Well, of course, success is what drives people to the championship. So there should be some success with that. The number of years that they dedicated to their lives to being part of that racetrack and campaigning a car, whether it be as a driver or as an owner or as a sponsor. We have to take a look at that. And this year we're also looking at some employees that are going to be on the ballot this year for you to vote on. It's not an easy thing when Brian and Rich and myself sit down. It's not done in 5 minutes, and sometimes we push things away from the table and we'll go for a walk and then come back at it again, because we kind of all have an opinion. Since I'm the oldest guy, pushing 60 here, I'm kind of the anchor to the past. And of course, Brian's been announcing for 30 years. The one thing nice about Brian is he probably changed tires, knows what gear sets and numbered gears are, and knows what that's about. We're helping his dad, so we have some knowledge there. And of course, Rich grew up on racing, but he's kind of the Mark Keegan, Frankie Kerr forward kind of guy right there. And there is a little spot after I got married where we couldn't afford to go to the races. We were saving for a house. So I missed, about 8 years of racing because of that. So I hope that we complement each other on that. But there's a lot of discussion about who goes in. But the input from the membership has actually kind of made our job just a little bit easier. And when I call up these people and say, hey, we noticed that you'd like to see this person go in, and we talk to them about them, that might be an hour phone call with all the different ideas and suggestions that they have about this particular person. So is there any 1 through 10 criteria to meet? No, there isn't. But it's based on the character, the goodness of their heart, and how they treated maybe people at the racetrack and stuff like that. There's a lot that goes into it.
One of the things that have happened is every year since this has been created, we've failed to make everyone happy. We've always gotten someone that's called us up, and for a while it was Rick Ferkel. They were, well, why isn't Rick Ferkel in, and this and that. Well, we were trying to build our foundation and get that kind of thing built, and to this day that happens. And the best thing we can do is listen to their concerns, address them, and explain to them that, we're 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. 2009 was our first class, so we're going on our 5 years old, and we can't put 63 years of history in a 5-year span, or we're going to run out of stuff to do. So that's one of the things that's been an issue, and we touched on success and those types of things, and like when George Miller got inducted, George Miller doesn't have a championship, doesn't have a ton of feature wins, but he's got a ton of years of support of Fremont Speedway. And, up until his sickness lately, he's been a regular at Fremont Speedway for a very, very long time. And he raced in an era where some guys just flat out had better equipment and stuff like that, and he was always a top 5 competitor. It just wasn't, they just maybe didn't have the things to get the job done, but they were there in support, and they provided Fremont Speedway with a long time of support.
And bringing up George, he spends time in the Hall of Fame during the fair. He's in there, and just having Hall of Fame members in that building when we're open during the fair, people come in, and it's like they're meeting their childhood heroes. And George is a hero. There's no doubt about that.
What else you got on your list there, Rich?
Well, we have our nominees, for the up and coming class that'll be on the ballot that they're going to go, that people can vote on, starting this weekend. I believe Randy has those with him. He can share.
Right. We've had one fellow that's been on this ballot, and I'd really like to see him get in. He's deceased, but his family is pulling for him here. That's Jack Gordon, 6-cylinder sportsman champion. Put together cars that looked a little rough, but boy, they were fast. Lee Potter, 305 champion. You probably raced and banged wheels with Lee. He started racing a 55 Chevy hobby stock, and he's just stuck by Fremont Speedway, carried a checkered flag a few times. Just overall pretty nice guy.
He'll be in our Legends race this year as well.
That's right. He's gonna have.
He's going to come down out of the pit tower, arguing with Soup, and come down and race.
Yeah, Soup might work on it for him.
Yeah, that'd be good.
John Nida, champion out of Michigan. Always nice looking car. Dedicated himself to travel down there every week.
And now his son Dane is coming down every week to race at Fremont.
Another generational thing there. Next fella was a racer. Won the very first year they had the hobby stocks, and that's Fran Steinmetz out of Tiffin, Ohio. His son raced late models over at Attica, or Sportsman's, whatever you want to call them there. Fran, though, will have a lot of opinions on how racing got expensive. He won his championship, went through a couple cars, but you went to the junkyard, you got your parts, you worked on them, you machined on them, and you went to the racetrack and they won races.
Fran actually sent us an email the other day about our website, our new website, and give us some input on that, on some things, and we did make some adjustments thanks to his, for his input there. So that made it, he still has an opinion.
Absolutely, he does, and very successful man in business, and does the handy graphics, vinyl lettering, and what have you. Another fellow here, and a lot of people don't know the depth of this fellow. Won the Saturday Night Fun car, the enduro races, ended up in a sprint car, and he also grew up at the racetrack. Sold popcorn at 5 years of age, helped his dad and mom at the racetrack, and that's Chris Kaiser. And that was a person that was nominated pretty heavily also. And then we have Jeff Huffman out of Tiffin. Street stock guy, won some championships, late model racer. As car owners, we have a carryover, and that's Tom Drewsback. Tom had put cars underneath Jim Linder, the Park, Ohio electric car, and very deserving to go in. Soup Sable, Eric Rankin got a championship driving his cars. Very instrumental in helping out Les and Craig Mintz in getting started, and definitely deserves to be in there. Then we have another person here, a stock car guy, and he made things happen for Art Ball. And the latter part of Art Ball's career, pretty much Roy Pierce had a lot to do with that.
When is the latter part of Art Ball's career?
We're still determining that fact. I mean,
We haven't figured that out yet.
I think, the other night he started up front and he had a good thing going, and the truck just didn't sound right the whole night. The motor just didn't seem like she was quite up to par the other night. So he still got it though.
Well, he definitely has a competitive spirit. Just if you walked up to that guy in the street and talked to him, you wouldn't realize that he was a racer sometimes. I mean, just so laid back right there. As mechanic car builders, we have Bill Sickanese. I know he had a lot of input with people over in the Gibsonburg area. The beautiful number 3 car that Jim Linder just restored, that was a Sickanese built copy of a Ward car. The craftsmanship that he had is just remarkable. And then the carburetor man, Robert Berkeley. He's been on there a few years. I'd really like to see people put some votes behind him and get him into the Hall of Fame. And then wrapping up with kind of lifetime contributors, Fritz Meyer Wrecker Service. They were every Saturday. He had the big blue wrecker there, and when they brought that wrecker out, why, that was, he had a big wreck back in the day. And this might be a big surprise, but this is another person whose name was put down numerous times, and that's Howard Thompson. And if you don't know who Howard Thompson is, that's Mo, our pit gate worker. He's worked there for over 40 years.
Wow.
Very simple, humble man. But that needs to be rewarded.
I've been there for 25 years, and I thought he was Mo.
He is
Yeah, absolutely.
he is every Saturday. He's the second person to get there. He usually gets there about a half hour, 40 minutes after I do, and you know, he's not as young as he used to be. But when I first took over the racetrack, he was still pretty healthy and still pretty able, and he'd do anything you ask him to do. And he's just Gary Kern's got a ton of stories about Mo, and Jim had some too, and he's I don't think there's anybody that cares about things the way he does. He's got a unique way of doing it, but it's Mo's a pretty cool dude.
And he supported the fair for years too. He's usually helping out during the fair, watches the gates, and he's just kind of a symbol of the whole Sandusky County Fairgrounds in the Fremont Speedway. And the last person going in is on the ballot, but he's going to be automatically inducted. And this is a decision that the board made, and that's going to be Mike Holman, our flagman who lost his life flagging a race at Fremont Speedway. So glad to see Mike get in there. He deserves to be in there. One section of the corner of our building, we call it the last checkered flag. And when we lose a racer, why their picture goes up, and it's underneath the flag set of Mike's, and he's kind of the gatekeeper, as we call it.
It's one of my first memories from Fremont Speedway. Is him, darkest tan I've ever seen, riding on top of the tractor, running the track in or working the track.
Gary Kern has told me that whatever it took to get that show in, whether it was running the track in, picking this up, flagging the race, whatever it took, Mike was the first man in line to help him get it done. And that was a great loss for the racetrack and everybody there. That was just a shame. But Mike is automatically going in to the Hall of Fame.
It's good to hear. Well, Randy, I want to thank you for coming in. That's a lot of information that I didn't know either. But make sure that if you're interested in the Hall of Fame, you want to get a membership, that you can find them on Fremont Speedway, HOF.com, or you can get there through the Fremont Speedway website, FremontOHSpeedway.com.
And there's always information on Facebook, Twitter. We have, the Hall of Fame has a Facebook and a Twitter and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of ways to keep up with what's happening.
Right, or look up Rich or Randy at the races on Saturday night. Randy opens up the Hall of Fame when he gets there, and is usually around it wearing this blue shirt with Fremont Speedway Hall of Fame on it, so he's easy to find. So thank you for coming in, Randy.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to go ahead and take a break, 3:05 highlights, and then we'll be back with Kenny Jacobs and Ed Hodenshield.
Monty Collins, green flag in hand. We'll see if the second time's a charm. Green flag out. Still 3 wide for the lead. John Ivy splits them down the backstretch. Tony Bieber, John Ivy, Tyler Gunn. Ivy up to the high side. Gunn slices back. Here we go. Still 3 wide into turns 1 and 2. Tony Bieber, John Ivy, side by side. Jordan Ryan takes a look underneath John Ivy for the lead. Out of turn 2. Ryan underneath Ivy, side by side. Nate Dussel to the outside. 3-car battle for the lead. Jordan Ryan by a nose. Jordan Ryan, your new leader. On the bottom. He is not going to budge off that inside groove.
Down by 7. Final play for Detroit.
Only thing that would make this any better is overtime.
They'll need a miracle to win this football game. Harris slot right, drops back. Hines takes the pass at the 30. With Basim! Wow! Can you believe it? One man defeat! We're headed to overtime!
Buffalo Wild Wings, you have to be here.
Field goal for the win! Oh!
Welcome back to the Last Lap Live. I'm Brian Smith. Rich Farmer filling in for Shelly Liskey. And we have Kenny Jacobs and Ed Hodenshield with us today. We're pretty excited about this. One of my racing heroes sitting over here. But I know Rich is gonna kind of lead this one here too, because he's got all the notes. So I figure once we get these guys started, then
Yeah, I
it'll be
think
entertaining.
hopefully once we get them going, they can ride it out from there, huh? Be pretty nice. I talked to Dean, Kenny's brother, last night, and he was filling me in that Kenny got upside down the first time he drove a race car at Wayne County.
Oh, I did, yeah. Thanks, brother. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and he also told us about Ed, how you had this Donna. You remember Donna?
Yeah, how can I forget Donna?
Said that was Fast Eddie's woman.
That,
She wouldn't let nothing happen to you.
Yeah, that was my protection.
Yeah, that was his protection.
Yeah,
She looked like
he was telling me about that
like
stuff.
a female gorilla.
Seemed kind of interesting, and
Yeah.
you know, it was talking to Dean. I don't think he wanted to give up too much. You know, he was kind of a little reserved. I know it's hard to believe coming from Dean.
I'll say, really?
Yeah, it's a little tough to believe, and but you know, you guys are obviously going to be in the Legends race, and that part's going to be pretty cool. And you know, we got about a month, and you guys been doing some exercise and working out, getting ready.
No.
Remember we were talking about that Corona and then
the
drinks?
Corona and the Crown.
Yeah, a little Crown and Coke.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're both in pretty good shape anyhow.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can run 50 lapper.
Compared to some others, I would agree. I you know, we've seen quite a few of these guys, and
Kenny's already upped it to a 50 lapper. He didn't even know it was going to be a full show. Now he's setting it up to be a 50 lapper.
Well, you know, speaking of like 50 lap races, Knoxville Nationals was a 50 lap race, and I was told that you had bought a shirt at an auction, and
I did.
and why don't you tell our guest about this shirt?
It was a. I can't remember what it. All it said was anybody but Steve Kinzer, and it had like 10 different reasons why anybody but Steve Kinzer. So we were running real good that year. I was in the Winnemeyer car, so I thought I'm going to buy that shirt. I'm going to wear it in the finals because I knew him and I were on the front row the final night. So I wore that T-shirt, and then on the stage he actually grabbed me like he was going to try to rip it off, but it was all in fun. A lot of people liked the shirt though.
And you'd run second.
But he won. So the bottom line was he still won.
And you ran second.
I
that
ran
night.
second to him, yeah.
Yeah, they had brought that up to us, and they mentioned you even had a pet donkey or something at one time.
No, that was my dad.
Dad?
That was my dad, yeah.
He had the donkey?
Yeah. We won't talk about the donkey.
No?
We will,
I don't blame you.
We will insult some race car or racetrack owners and car owners and
Wait, that's the kind of stuff we want.
and other people that my dad didn't like. Who
So
was
he named
very
him after
few.
the donkey?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, the donkey. Yeah.
That would be that'd be kind of entertaining. That would be yeah, you'd probably piss some people off.
Yeah, not so much. It was all in fun.
So, how did you guys find out about this Legends race? Did Rich get a hold of you, or did you hear it through the grapevine, or?
Dean told me, Jacobs told me that he said they were having it, and I signed you up, and
yeah,
and I didn't. I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do that or not. And he said, too late.
So what are you thinking now? Are you looking forward to it, or?
Yeah, I am now.
When's the last time you were in a race car?
2000, 2001, I drove for Pete Grove. I actually drove for Pete for 2 years. That was kind of a record in itself. So.
Brad Hodgeshield's sitting over here behind the cameras. He knows something about that too.
A little bit. Yeah, that was. Well, then I run an E-Bot at Eldora for a few years. Had a pretty good time there. But
There's
sprint car stuff, yeah.
There's quite a few people from down around where you guys are from that say when you guys were growing up and younger that you had a superb talent. They felt that if you would have stuck with it, that you would have probably, you know, had a better winning record than like Jack or Kenny or, you know, some of these guys. They've all complimented you very well over the years.
Yeah, I think maybe a mechanical advantage, maybe. But as far as driving, you know, at that point we all did pretty well. But a lot of the times when their cars got crashed, I'd bring them to our house and I'd fix them, and then I'd have to go race against them. That would be the advantage I had then. Maybe it was could get the cars a little bit closer.
The advantage was he was working on your car. That's why.
Yeah. I can never figure out why every time when he was done, it wasn't quite as good as it was before I took it there.
But you got to race.
But I got to race, yeah.
All the truth comes out now.
Yeah.
Now, what about you, Kenny? It's been a few years since you've raced, but
3 or 4. It hasn't been that long. I think I still remember how, but 3 or 4 years. And I think I was in the race shop, and Lee, my boy Lee, and my nephew Cody, all of a sudden out of nowhere stopped what they were doing and said, "Hey, you're not retired yet." And I'm not really knowing what's going on. And then they brought this race up, and never heard another word about it. Then, of course, I got hired by my brother Dean. Yeah, you are racing it. So, yeah, Dean's doing a lot of work for you.
That's
Rich.
Dean is, Dean, I remember one time when Jim had the racetrack, and Dean said some not so nice things about the facility on the front straightaway, and Dean and I have come to, we like each other, I think, or at least I like him, and it's been a pretty good relationship. It's kind of different how things have changed, but we do. Some people call it rough. I call it character. The racetrack has a little character. It's not the same every week. It's not, dry, slick, and Dean said it best. Race cars are made to go fast, and we believe in making them go fast too. So
I believe if he didn't like you, he'd tell you.
yeah, I think so.
He's not real shy.
Not at all. No, he's not bashful a bit.
He's got a lot of my dad in him. Yeah.
Which cars are you guys driving? Who are you driving for?
I've not met my car owner yet, so I don't know. I don't know.
Kenny's driving Tim Merrill's car.
Tim Merrill.
Oh, Tim Merrill.
The 39 car.
Okay. It just had a
Had
slight
a little
accident
incident.
this week.
Had a little incident this
Yeah.
weekend. And Tony Bieber kind of, tore it up a little bit, but it's fixable. And Bieber's, they straighten cars and stuff.
Yeah,
So.
they're real good too.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be right back in shape. So
Yeah,
we're
well,
good there.
Have Beavers fix it, not Ed. That way you
Yeah.
won't have a little bit slower one than his.
And then Ed's driving Trey Jacobs' car.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good deal.
If you still have one by then, Trey's had a little trouble.
Yeah, he hasn't really run it into anything. He's just, it's like Flower. I don't know if you know who Flower is, but he's a longtime Fremont Speedway guy. And he told me when I started racing, he says you need to slow down to go fast. And I think Trey needs to slow down a little bit to go fast, and he'll get it figured out.
He doesn't have very many laps.
No.
He doesn't have very many laps on him, so and it doesn't happen overnight.
No, absolutely not. I had my boys out this weekend, and you learn it don't happen overnight when they try to climb the light poles, and it's that kind of stuff.
Well, Ed and I have been going to Orville the last 4 or 5 Thursdays in a row practicing, and we're not getting any better, are we, Ed?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I keep hearing that. Now you're gonna have Mark. Mark cornered me at the mall show, and he's telling me, he's like, man, you need to let us practice. You need to let us get a night in, or you need to let us do something. And I said, boy, Mark, I said, has it been that long that you forgot? Or and some of them guys, they probably wish they could get some practice. And Jim Linder's gonna make his son practice his 305 car the night before. Just so they know the car's right and that kind of stuff. So, and the motor runs and all those kind of things. So it's, some of these guys are really serious about this thing, and we're just, as far as the racetrack's concerned, we're glad that we're able to put this together, and really thankful for all you guys participating. It's at the end of the day, if you guys wouldn't agree to do it, it would just be an idea that maybe never was. So, thanks for that.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be fun.
Well, I appreciate being asked. It's I probably wouldn't turn down any ride today. My wife might, but I wouldn't. So
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How did this work out at home with you two guys when this came up?
No problem in my house.
No, not at all. Mine. She goes every weekend when BJ's racing, and I don't think since we got together she ever missed one race I was in. And if I started again tomorrow, she'd pack everything up and
Well, maybe
be
after,
ready to go.
Maybe after the Legends race, you guys might change your mind.
Yeah. And after the races that night, we're going to have a band down there in the pits and some food, and turn it into, then you can have that crown captain and stuff.
I'm not the crown guy. I'm Corona guy.
Corona, we'll get him some.
I'm not as good a man as Ed here. We ain't that tough stuff.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I heard when you guys used to travel around the country that you'd take the whole family with you, and you guys would sing some good songs. And I heard you was kind of like a Conway Twitty expert.
Yeah, that's too funny. Yeah. I had a Conway Twitty tape of my daughter Kendra. She hated it. So the more she hated it, the more I played it. So,
Yeah, that's who told us about
Yeah,
it.
I bet she did. I'm surprised she doesn't come up here to watch this race, because she never wanted me to quit in the first place. So
She's not free that weekend?
I have no idea.
We need to work on that.
Yeah, she may very well make it. I think there's going to be a lot of people that'll be out to see this and to come out, and a lot of fans that still have the the want and everything else to, you know, you guys are part of what built what is sprint car racing today. So
I know the 410 guys now, like me and Sabito and them kind of guys, we just love the fact that this is going to happen. Are you going to park them all at the same area? You going to put all of them in the same end of the pits?
you know how that is. You know, parking is.
You could make that happen.
Well,
right?
we could force it to happen,
Yeah.
but boy, I'd be everything but a white man before it was over. Before parking was done, I don't want to deal with that. I got enough to deal with. But
I know I'm going to be going around getting autographs myself.
our 410 guys are pretty disappointed. They wish they weren't racing that night.
I'm one of them.
They said this ain't right that we're even racing, and so we've already kind of made up our mind. These guys are gonna be. They're definitely the premier division that night, and it'll be one of the very few nights that the 410 sprint cars are a support class at Fremont Speedway.
Yeah, another thing is like all the younger guys, when you go to the track and you see Rick Ferkel walking around, Jim Linder, all those guys that they never got to see him race, don't realize how many feature wins.
They don't realize it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find this out.
And,
And you two included. You guys don't know. You just don't know those things.
Kenny's
but-
got somewhere between 300 and 400 feature wins. He doesn't know, but it's somewhere in there. It's a terrible problem.
You mentioned Rick Ferkel. A good thing about, like with Rick is Rick, Mark Keegan, and Jim Linder were the three that I originally brought this to when we were doing a sprint and midget interview for the Hall of Fame. And they're like, yeah, we'll do it. And then this was like 2 years ago. And then when it became a reality, I'm like, hey, you guys remember when you said you'd do that? And they're like, yeah. Well, I never thought you'd pull this off. They said, we never thought this would really happen. So, and with Rick, as far as like when we got the Hall of Fame going and we're trying to build up followers and likers and stuff on social media, if you put Rick Ferkel out there, the people just, they are on it. They more retweets, more shares and that kind of stuff. So Rick's definitely a great part of this event and Fremont Speedway.
Well, Rick was just an incredible gentleman. He might have been a tough guy in a race car, but I'll tell you, he helped everybody at the track, including us at times. And he's just an all-around nice guy. It's no wonder people, and not only because of his racing ability, but his mannerism on and off the track. Sure, people don't forget that either.
right?
Yeah, you mentioned being the nice guy. I was also told that you considered yourself too nice, and that if you was to pass on, that if everybody said that you was nice, that you was too nice, that you'd be okay with that.
Well, I would be, because I think I raced 37, 38 years, and I don't, hopefully, that I know of, have an enemy from the races that I know of. And not that I'm going to go out and have a beer or go out and have dinner with everybody I raced with, but I never could see getting in arguments, fighting, any of that shit, because I had to go right back the next night and race with this guy. So, I think 90% of the guys you race with, they're not knocking their wheels off on purpose. They screw up like we all did. So, to get upset, get mad, and my wife used to tell me I was too nice. Well, I still won my share of races, so I'd rather be too nice and maybe lose one here or there than.
Right.
Did you have an incident with a fan at Eldora one time? Give him a steering wheel?
No, that was at Port Royal,
Port
Pennsylvania.
Royal? I was told Eldora. Where you
No.
give him the steering wheel? You got out of the car even?
Well, I'm sitting there on a red flag, and you got a fan standing at the fence, and he was 30s probably, and you can only sit there so long and listen to yourself being called everything you could imagine, except a sprint car driver. So finally, I just threw my belts off and walked over to the fence and handed him the steering wheel. I said, "Come on, show me how to do it." And then the guy turned around and never said another word. So yeah, that was probably. And I wasn't mad. I just thought I got to shut him up somehow. And I surely wasn't big enough to shut him up, so this'll do it. And it did. He never said another word. He walked back and sat down.
Was you as nice as Kenny, Ed?
Oh,
Yes, he was.
you don't want people not to like you.
Yeah.
And if I did somebody wrong on the track or something, I'd wait a little while. I wouldn't go down right away, but you'd go down and say, hey, I don't race like this, and do what you can do. And if just however they took it was, that's how it was going to be. But I can't ever remember intentionally
What's that?
taking somebody out.
I have no idea.
So
These are notes that Shelley came up with. I don't
You know, a lot of the
She's done
stuff
some
like they're
digging.
talking about how being nice and that kind of thing. You know, a lot of that's missing from our sport today. You know, you go around the pit area and you know, some of these younger guys and stuff. They almost seem like they're privileged. You know, that they you know, it just doesn't. The world is so much easier for a younger person today than it was for you guys, and that kind of thing. So some of the mutual respect amongst one another, you know, isn't as strong as it maybe used to be. And you know, hopefully them guys hearing these kind of things and stuff kind of, you know, helps in a leadership role for them.
Oh, and we'd go to when we started, there was probably a half a dozen guys that were 15 or 16-year-olds. And if we'd come to Fremont or Finley or whatever, I mean, the older guys were like, oh man, I don't know if we should let them race, you know. And I mean, it took a while because there wasn't a lot of younger guys racing, but you know, after they raced with us a few times, and you know, it was pretty cool. I mean, like I was saying earlier, like Rick Ferkel, and you could ask him stuff. Johnny Bieber, I mean, we had spring front cars. If we'd buy a first torsion bar car, we didn't have any idea what to do with it, and he'd say, "Oh, this is the size you need," and that. And I'm sure he was up front all the time because wing or non-wing, you know, Johnny Bieber, he was.
So he's one of the guys that you looked up to.
Oh,
when you guys
yeah,
started.
yeah.
He was just
I mean,
one
we
of
all-
our buddies.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't go to the racetrack without my Rick Ferkel T-shirt on, or Johnny Bieber, or
Yeah.
So are you guys
there's-
as big of fans now? Like you got, there's big Kenny Jacob fans, you know, and Ed Hodenshift fans, Jack Hodenshift fans, and all that stuff. Are you guys fans of racing too? Because I know you raced for a long time, but can you go to the races and sit there and just watch the races and not have this overwhelming urge to wanna do it?
Well, since my son's racing, you know, I only ever missed one time he raced, you know. But when I wasn't racing when I first quit, it was kind of hard to go back, you know, because you could sit up there and you'd sit there and think, wow, I think I could beat these guys, you know. So, but then once he started racing, and you know, I spent a lot of time just going to watch him and Kenny's boy. And
So how long did you quit before Brad started running sprint cars?
well, like I say, the last few years I run the E-Mod at Eldora, and then I think the following year is the reason I got out of the E-Mod, because it was a Saturday night deal too.
Oh, okay.
So then, yeah, once he started, then I didn't race it.
Now you raced some with Lee.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Lee
yeah.
started.
We actually started in one of our extra cars that we had. I had ran it for a while, and we put it together for him. So yeah, I got to race. We actually had a couple good races at Fremont. Heat races. We never raced much against each other here in the feature, I don't think, but we had a couple good heat races, you know, for first and second together. So it's fun. I love to watch him race. I mean, I all my career I jump up on a trailer with a stopwatch, but to be quite honest, I was on the trailer to watch because I love racing. To watch sprint car racing, I mean, I love it. So watching now is, I don't have trouble watching. I still want to race a little bit, but I enjoy watching too. It's good. Yeah, it's
So why
good fun.
exactly did you quit at the end? I mean, why did it
Well,
end?
you know, it was getting harder and harder to get in a good ride, and I was fortunate enough to win a few races. And when you get to the point where you think you're not in equipment capable of winning, you got two choices. You either find something that's capable of winning, or you walk away. And I was at the age where I had my family beat me in the back of the head to walk away because of the back injuries and stuff, which aren't a problem. They're not a problem now, and they weren't a big problem then, really. They just kind of blew it out of proportion. But
Spoken like a driver. If we asked Kim, it would be a different story.
well, and I guess I walked away. I couldn't get a ride that I thought I could win races, and I just walked away. So, and that's the reason.
You feel like you left anything out there? I mean, is there anything that you
I
wanted
got a couple
to do?
wins left. Yeah, I'm sure I did. Yeah, Dale Blaney's lucky. If I still racing, he wouldn't win as many.
Yeah, he just won his 100th All-Star win.
He
Yeah.
just last year he won the 99th or whatever, which
Yeah,
you know,
98.
took Kenny's all-time All-Star win away.
I'll tell you, he's on it. He's on it. He's going to win a lot of races this year.
And him and George, they're just, they're just chemistry. I mean, they're just really good together, and it kind of shows getting in this and Tony Kennedy's car and that 14 car that, it doesn't matter if it's George's 2 car, TI-22's 2 car, or his 14 car. It's just them guys are lethal.
I'm telling you, I think, not to name names, but boy, Dale Blaney, especially if you take the World of Outlaw guys out of the picture, Dale Blaney's the best we have. I'm telling you, that guy can win anywhere, any day. He wins Fremont, he goes to Port Royal and wins Port Royal. That's like Indianapolis 500 Speedway or IRP. That's the difference in the 2 racetracks. Doesn't make any difference.
World Finals too? Was it last year?
Year before they were.
I'm telling you, he just keeps getting better. I mean, he keeps getting better.
He's
And he's
terrible at
50.
basketball.
He's 50 years old.
Yeah.
He's
not
terrible
done.
at basketball, though, by the way.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
He played in that kick or
the Fast Series. We had a 3-on-3 tournament.
Oh,
he was terrible.
Really?
Yeah, the first he had 2 games and out, and it was double
He
elimination.
must have had an off day.
He was starting to get better there at the end, and I kind of called him and got him to play on my team, and I thought, man, I got a ringer. How can this guy lose in Fremont? Well, he lost, miserably lost. Yeah,
He's quite an athlete. That's surprising.
He is. He is.
Did you have a combination like that with a crew chief? That you felt that good?
I never, I don't know if it was me or the crew chiefs, I never stayed with one near long enough. And I'm trying to preach that to Lee and my nephew Cody right now. Through thick and thin, through arguing, bitching at each other, whatever you do, stick it out. Stick it out, because that's the only way you'll get better. And I truly believe that all the premier teams, they've been with crew chiefs for a long time. With the exception of a guy like Sammy who can take care of his own stuff. Doug Wolfgang can take care of his own stuff. But the guys that need a good mechanic, a good crew chief, they get better the longer they're together with a crew chief. And Dale Blaney's definitely showing that right now.
Are you still wrenching on Brad's stuff?
No.
It's hard for him not to be.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the guy he drives for, he's got it going on. He's good.
Yeah, obviously with a win on Saturday.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch that. Yeah.
Do you miss having your own stuff? And you ran
Oh,
with
yeah.
Brad for the 305s for a while, and then the 410 some. And
Yeah, I miss that. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I don't think we ever argued once. We had maybe some quiet rides home once in a while. But,
Driver errors.
But
when you guys raced at Fremont, that's a little bit of a ride home.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that could be a little bit of a ride to be that quiet that long.
Good thing
Yeah.
he can sleep anywhere when he gets mad.
No, but I do miss it. Like I said, it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun, and just to watch him from the first time he gets in a 305 to winning a 410 race at Fremont, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and Brad's they're supposed to have a son, I understand.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have another generation on Shields racing.
I told him I didn't know if I could wrench on a car at 80 years old. So. I don't know. Maybe I can just call the shots and have somebody do the work.
You can be like some of them. You get up in our pit tower. They was talking about this earlier. Some of the grumpy old guys up there. You can be like them guys. How they sit up there and tell everybody else how they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
It's good entertainment just to sit back and listen once in a while.
It's pretty easy from up there in the tower.
Yeah, my brother sat up there the one night. I had to have him run the pit tower because we were short on help, and then he comes down there after about 40 minutes and he says, "You need to get somebody else up there because I'm going to throw these old guys out of the damn window." He says, "All they do is talk shit about you." He says, "I'm going to throw them right out of the window." He says, "You need to get somebody else up there." So we ended up having to replace him that day.
so what do you guys do nowadays? What keeps most of your time nowadays?
Working and riding motorcycles.
What are you doing for a living?
I work for a garage in Millersburg.
Still working on cars?
Well, no, just I'm driving a truck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but ride the bike when it's nice, and just.
You got one of those loud, annoying Harley Davidsons?
I got a quiet one.
Oh, okay. What about you, Kenny? What are you doing now?
I work for the family business. My wife's family, they were in the oil and gas business. And we have wells, and we also have a bunch of rental properties. And it keeps me busy 99% of the time. And I too, like Ed, we have a motorcycle. We enjoy riding motorcycle, and I have an airplane. I try to fly as much as I can, and it's just fun. It's kind of relaxing. I thought it would take the void from the racing, but not at all. It doesn't
No.
do that at all. But it is fun. It's fun to do that once in a while.
And what
but
kind of airplane is it?
It's a Cessna Cardinal. It's a 4-seat retractable gear. It's a nice airplane, and yeah, we fly back and forth to Kenders and Charlotte with it, and I flew Lee to a couple of races when he was driving for Hammer, so he started telling people he had his own private pilot to fly him around. So, but yeah, we stay busy. I don't know how we had time to race. We're too busy. So,
Well, you was younger then. You had more fun.
we were
And,
younger, yeah.
The racing was the work. That was the job, you know.
It
So
was.
it's makes it a little bit different and keeps it interesting.
Now, did you raced for a living when you were running the Outlaws and traveling and All Stars and all that kind of stuff? What'd you do in the wintertime? While that was happening?
Worked out.
Worked out?
Yep, I did. I was pretty demanding on myself, I guess, because I always say guys like Bobby Allen and Sammy and Steve, those guys seemed like they had natural talent. I didn't have an ounce of natural talent, so everything I did, I had to work my ass off to get where I was at. And as little as I was, I often thought that the last 5 laps were really important. So I worked hard in the off season, played a lot of racquetball. My brother Dean and I played a lot of racquetball for reflexes, and just worked out and tried to stay in shape and tried to stay healthy because had to make a living, man.
Now I need to play some racquetball. Since I'm getting older, I need to keep my reflexes up.
Racquetball's good. Racquetball's a great game. Man. It's good.
These guys, we've talked to a fair amount of people that are going to be part of this race coming up, and there's a lot of guys that are, working out that think they're afraid to fall out of the seat. They don't want to get to lap 15 and fall out of the seat and miss those last 5 laps you mentioned there. So it'll you're going to need to. You think you
So
need
it
to play
is
some
a 20.
racquetball?
It's a 20-lap race.
20-lap race.
Well, you forget, and I see you've already vetoed what I said. I wanted the top 2 guys. Hopefully, I'll be one of those top 2 guys. But to get in a 410 and tag the tail of 410, man.
Well, if we can get some of
We got to get a poll going here so that gets.
Well, it's
voted
not
in.
necessarily getting a poll going. Let's see if somebody, if any of our listeners or watchers out there, can pony up a race car for you guys to do that, and we'll make it happen. We'll be glad to make it happen. If you got a car,
I know the guy that owns my boy's car. I probably can get him kicked out.
You could probably get in your boy's car. So we just
I won't fit in the seat though. We'll have to change seats.
we just need one
We'll wait
more.
for you.
And,
We'll wait for you.
I think that's very doable. If you guys, if that's something, if you guys feel that you can run 50 laps.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I want to drive Byron Reed's car because it just looks good. He's about the same size that I am, and it looks fast. I want Byron's car.
Well, I'll call Sam.
We got to get. You
got a good relationship with Sam?
Probably as good as anybody does with Sam. Does anybody have a good relationship with Sam?
Dean
Well,
does.
My brother Dean does. Same with Sam. You know, like Sam. I've raced with Sam all my life. It seems like, and
I had a funny
And,
Sam Reed experience one night. We raced, it rained, and we had a rain delay, and racetrack was in awful shape. So we have a driver's meeting. We're going to give these guys the opportunity to tell us to go home or to race, and they wanted to race. And all the way from the pit tower back to the entrance of the racetrack down the back straightaway, Sam Reed is telling me pretty much what he thought. I mean,
I can't
it was not
believe
it was
that.
not good. He was telling me I can't let the inmates control the asylum, and I mean he was being Sam Reed at his finest hour. And
that's good stuff.
long story short is the racetrack turned out to be very, very nice that night, and Byron won.
Oh, no kidding.
And that was the only time I've never seen Sam Reed in the front straightaway. Sam didn't come out, and he actually called me the next day and apologized. It was a pretty good Sam Reed moment. But I'll give Sam a call and we'll see if he'll.
Sam might be grumpy at times, buddy. He's been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And with the best equipment and with his family, and they all seem to still love it. So you were talking about nominees for Fremont Speedway. I don't know if Sam's in your Hall of Fame or not, but my goodness, he has supported these local tracks for how many years?
Yeah, he's not in our Hall of Fame, and one of the things we've tried to do with the Hall of Fame thing is to at least let them get done with their accomplishments. You know, Sam very likely has some more championships.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
As an owner, possibly, and it is nice when you see the family there. The young boys, they're growing up,
Yeah.
and they're there as a family every week, and they're definitely one of our household teams that help keep things going good at Fremont.
And they're always up front. They've been up front for years and years and years. And Byron's just we were talking about nice guys. There's about nice guys you ought to find.
Yeah.
So he's good for the sport, and I'm sure they bring a lot of fans every night they show up.
No, absolutely. We'll just we'll have to talk and see if he'll.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's he ain't gonna let just anybody in that
Well, first I'm putting the cart before the horse. I got to run first or second before I even got to worry about it.
thing. That's right.
He
That's
says
right.
that, but then he was the one that brought it up because
He plans to run first or
He
second.
plans to run first or second.
He doesn't. It's like Mark Keegan. Mark Keegan says, I ain't going there to run second.
I wonder how he feels about third or fourth.
Yeah.
What do you think he feels about that?
Probably worse than second.
How are you going into this, Ed? What are you thinking? How are you thinking you're going to do, or how are you thinking you're going to try and do?
Maybe after hot laps I'd have a better idea, but
Mm.
the more laps would be better for me.
Well, you guys will you'll get the hot lap. You're going to get to qualify. Single car qualifying.
2 laps, 3 laps, 4, 5 maybe.
Single lap.
Single
Single lap. Single car
You're
qualifying.
asking a lot of someone.
Well,
that
hey,
doesn't
we
want
took
a
the
long
group
time.
part out because my co-host here really can't stand group qualifying, so we're gonna make it where it's a full night, like
Not
like
too many people like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
yeah.
Terrible program.
I did it. I did it somewhere one time, and I ran into the typical problem. I caught a car in a lap,
Yep.
and the guys all over the place. So my group qualifying shot. I don't like it either. You
Yeah.
know.
Tell
But-
this guy to
but-
eliminate
no. I'm not gonna tell you to eliminate anything.
Oh,
You got to try new things. You got to
I'm-
try new things.
I'm personally not a huge fan of it, but
Yeah.
after the first week, I sat at my house and me and Shelly sat down and we probably came up with 10 other ways to get the field set that wasn't group qualifying, and I'm a very headstrong individual. So when we went to the races the next week, we had timers on everything, and we're monitoring how long this takes and this, and if it wasn't going to be respectable, it was gone. And the guys have, we're not doing it with 410 cars because 410 cars I feel have a too fast of a closing rate.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, you're there now. You're not there later. We're doing it with the 305s and the trucks, and we've had very little incident, and timing wise the last 2 weeks have gone off
Although the
very well.
first night out, Trey goes down in the corner. First time he's ever been on the
I
racetrack.
was sitting in the stands watching. I
Drives off the
watched him. drive
And that's
off
the downside for a guy, that doesn't have a lot of laps, and you put them out there, it's like putting a gun to their head
Yeah.
and telling them you got to perform, and that does make it tough for them.
It makes it tough, but how would you like to go to Williams Grove for your first racetrack? I mean,
I don't know. I've never been to Williams Grove, but
Williams Grove is like 6 times bigger than Fremont, I think. I mean, you look down straight at one, you can't see the other end. So
how much do you got to work the pedal at the other end, though?
at the other end,
I mean, can you just layer the mat and hang on?
yeah.
Takes a little less brains to
when
do
you're
that.
Kenny Jacobs.
Well, I
You
don't
got
know
to tell your
about
brain to
that.
be able to do it, though.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, yeah. It's so like you're saying about being a rookie and getting on Fremont. Fremont's an easy racetrack to drive. So
You're one of very few people that have ever said that.
And he's only got, 1 or 2 wins there.
I
It took
haven't
you
won very
forever.
many. It took me for, and the only reason I ever want to race at Fremont is because I came here and did some Goodyear tire testing, and Aaron and I kind of got onto some things during the tire test. I think we came back the next weekend or the following weekend and won a race. So I may have never won a race here if it wasn't for tire testing.
That's Chad Kemino came and did some testing 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. And after he missed the show, I think.
Missed the
didn't
show, and that thing was
he? Missed the show.
that thing was
That
horrible.
was amazing too to me to watch. I watched that.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
That thing was awful, and then he
Did
come
some
back
testing,
and
came back.
ran third, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, second, third.
Yeah. He couldn't even get close to making
No.
the show.
No,
So-
and then when we tested that next day, Hampshire rented the racetrack for that, and no matter, I mean, these guys changed everything you can change except for the seat, and that car didn't go no faster.
Yeah,
You know what
that'd
I'm
be very,
hearing?
very disappointing for both of them because they're at home.
You know what I'm hearing here is that he's got a couple 305s here. You guys should come out on a Sunday here, get some laps on the racetrack.
I think a lot of these guys are, maybe underestimate just how good a 305 runs today.
Yeah.
These things are race cars, and
Oh,
come feature time, oftentimes they'll turn faster laps than the the 410s because they don't have as much wheel spin and that kind of thing. But I think there's a few guys in the field that, you know, kind of think this is more like a go-kart than a sprint car, and I think they're going to get woke up when they get into the pedal.
For a rude awakening.
Oh yeah, I held out my boy's car at Attica a couple of years ago, and I was really surprised. 'Cause you could run around there.
Probably pretty close to the last 410 you ran. Not too far off.
Yeah, it ran good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did you want to wrap this up? It's like 8:15. So, you know, we usually ask the legends if they'll do this deal, but I think you guys are pretty open to it. This is our having a ball with art segment, and you got to put this on your head. I'll give you a minute, and you're going to draw any one of your race cars that you want. Put your number on it. Make sure you do it on your head, and then autograph it for us, and we'll hang it out there with the others.
You can autograph it after it's off your head. That
Yeah,
way
you don't have to autograph it on your head.
What do you mean put it on my head?
You put it up on your head, and you draw a sprint car. I'll give you a minute to do it, and then make sure your number's on.
Can Ed draw it? What's on my
Yeah.
head?
Well, Ed's got to do it too. So,
I don't know. I can't draw with it right in front of me.
well, there's a bunch of neat ones out there that you can check out to see how well you
I'm
did.
going here.
He's just starting right up. While he's doing that,
He's doing the standard. Did you notice? He's got the wheels first. You know.
Yeah, I can't even tie him up against the daggone roll cage here already.
Got
There's that. There's my flames. There you go, Ed. I made a smiley face.
There you go. Autograph
That
it
is
for
a
me.
good smiley face.
We'll flip it over to Ed, and we'll show the crowd here in a minute. But I got a quick Kenny Jacobs story while we're here. We ran the All-Stars in '88.
You can't have any bad stories about me.
Not bad stories.
You and I've always been buddies.
We're sitting on a couch here, though, so go ahead, Ed. And that's not this. You got to put it on your head. Just don't get it up on your head there. You'll have a big black mark.
And I'm telling you right now, there were a couple of them out there that couldn't have been drawn on their head.
Oh yeah, every one of them was drawn on their heads.
No,
the only person that has passed on doing it was Rick Ferkel.
He walked in the door.
When he come in the door, he says, "By the way, I'm not having a ball with Art. Me and Art aren't buddies."
That isn't bad.
That's good.
Yeah. You autograph that for me.
Yeah.
So anyway, in '98 at Randy All-Stars, we got rained out the first night of a 2-day show at Port Royal, and him and Kenny, my dad, we went over to Keith Kaufman's house, and we were sitting there in his basement watching TV, and Kenny was sitting next to me on a couch just like this, and he dozed off, and his head fell over and landed on my shoulder, and it was both the most awkward and coolest moment in my young racing career.
Were we drinking?
No, it was just, we had a late rain out the night before, but that was a cool racing story I had for years. Since then, I won a few races, so I've kind of topped that.
Yeah.
But let's give me this camera over here, quick. There's that Hodenshields version, and there's the Kenny Jacobs version. So I appreciate you
it's like
doing
a bicycle.
Yeah, that did look like a bicycle.
Mine looked like a bicycle.
Well, you got up here in a fence.
You had to start somewhere.
He does that too.
You didn't get something in the fence?
No, riding bikes.
You're a bike rider too, huh?
Yeah, he rides past my house.
I like riding bike. I like running a little too.
So that's a good deal.
I don't think I need to get in shape. I'm good enough.
Well, there's your second place finisher right behind the X car. Apparently, he's already got it.
I'm going to take him up on trying to find a couple cars that, you know, these guys would be willing to part with. Let them tail on the 410 race.
Yeah. And if the guy that wins and the guy that runs second doesn't have enough left in them to run the 410, go to third and go to fourth till you find two guys.
See, this is pretty
have
much
a little bit left.
Kenny wants to get in the 410 that night,
Oh,
so
yeah,
whatever you got to do, make it happen.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
410. That's where it's at, man.
No, I agree. That's the show, right?
Oh yeah.
I always call it the Formula One of sprint car racing, and when you hear people say it's expensive and it costs a lot of money, and it's supposed to, you know, to an extent. When you're at the premier level of any sport, it's expensive, and it doesn't matter if it's basketball or football or racing, or, you know, when you get to the top of the levels, it's going to be expensive, and some people can do it much lesser and get by and make it happen, and others can have a $1 million budget and can't hit their ass with both hands. So, you know, it's at the end of the day, it still comes down to the talent you have and the people you surround yourself with, but money is definitely a big part of the sport anymore.
And you hit it there when you said the people you surround yourself with. That's very, very important. It just is. Great sport, man. Great sport you guys are involved in.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks, Kim, for letting you drive her Prius up here.
Oh, well,
You
hang
can
on.
out.
Wait, hang on. We
Yeah,
got one
Joe,
little
thank
thing
you,
that
buddy.
we didn't get to share, and kind of want Ed to tell us what the hell happened here, Ed.
Where we at?
I like
I
your
think you can
shirt.
see
You're
that
at
far.
You're in Knoxville, Iowa, right there, with a really nice Fremont Speedway shirt on, and kind of like a skid mark on your forehead.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
I heard you won though.
Well, I did. They didn't have any volunteers though, so I was the only one in the deal, so I was going to win.
Oh,
Is this the
kind of
beer
a
can
shit-
bowling deer at the
Well,
Dingus?
yeah. That's, my wife wasn't real proud of me, but as long as everybody else was laughing, I guess it was.
Well, it's always nice to see a winner in a Fremont Speedway shirt.
You
Oh,
damn
yeah.
right. No
Yes.
matter what you win at.
That's right.
Yep,
We like winners.
A W is a W.
Yeah.
that's
You went
right.
to win, yeah.
Well, thanks for driving up here. I know it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
little bit of a drive for you guys, and thanks again for participating in our Legends event. And it should be hopefully a lot of fun for everyone.
I hope we get a beautiful day. I mean, I hope you get.
We got a
nice
rain
day.
date. A lot of guys are going through a lot of stuff to put cars together and to get seats and helmets, and a lot of you guys haven't raced in quite some time, so we made sure we put a rain date on it for Sunday. That way,
Oh,
that
cool.
way we can get this thing in and
Yeah.
and everybody can enjoy it. And we know we got some guys are even getting cars wrapped up like some memorable cars from the past.
Really,
So
really.
it's going to be really neat to see this unfold.
I think the party afterwards would be a blast too. So I hope Saturday's nice.
Oh yeah, there's definitely going to be a party
Yeah, nice.
afterwards.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that'll be fun.
band, beer, and
Fun, yeah.
All right.
kind of like the Better Business Bureau. If we were younger and could get away with it, it could be
Well-
band, beer, and boobs. But we'll probably have to retract the boobs part.
Kind
and
of like
just,
it was when we all started.
have a little
Yeah.
fun.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the end of the Last Lap Live. We're going to go ahead and show you the truck highlights and go to commercial. And we just want everybody to show up next week at the Mike Hensel Memorial, the non-wing race. It's a Boss Series, 5,000 to win. And remember that on June 7th is the Race of Legends, and we hope to see you all there. So thanks for watching.
Green out, and we already have them side by side, door to door for the lead out of turn 2. Art Ball, Bob Diebold. What a battle up front. Art Ball, Bob Diebold, Dustin Keegan, Brian Melnick, Dana Fry, Matt Foose, Sean Valeni, and the 88 of Daniel Rupke. Battle for the lead. Here comes Rupke underneath Keegan. Side by side out of turn 4. Dan Rupke takes the lead in through turns 3 and 4. Lap traffic ahead.
Need some cash? The Hillside Pawn Shop, 503 West State Street in downtown Fremont can help. The Hillside Pawn Shop buys, sells, or trades gold, silver, coins, guns, toys, jewelry, and much, much more. Turn your old treasures into cash now. The Hillside Pawn Shop is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, and Saturdays, 9 to 2. Call 419-307-8768. That's 419-307-8768. Hillside Pawn Shop in Fremont. Buy, sell, trade. Pawnbroker license PV.1006200.000.